learners, welcome to Certificate in Food and Nutrition CFN2 Your Food and its Utilization Block 4 Unit 12 Nutrition through the Life Cycle, and today we will be covering adolescence. I am Dr. Ankita Gupta, Assistant Professor in the Discipline of Nutritional Sciences at Indira Gandhi National Open University, New Delhi. In today's lecture, we will be covering the nutritional needs of adolescent boys and girls. We will describe their normal growth and its effect on the nutrient requirement. We will recognize the problems that might occur during adolescence and its effect on the nutritional status and nutrient needs, and how to ensure normal growth in adolescence. You've already covered the preschool, the school going years in the previous lectures. So today we move on to the next age group, which is adolescence, and it is sandwiched between the school age and the adulthood. Adolescence is a unique period of dynamic change which may be referred to as growing up. In this period, not only will a boy or girl attain physiological maturity, but the adolescent also becomes increasingly independent and tries to be an adult. It is a critical period since the development of individual occurs at the physiological, psychological and the social levels. Between 12 to 19 years, or what we term as teenage years, the adolescent grows to adult height and also matures sexually. Adolescence is the time period which begins with the onset of puberty. At the end of adolescence, the individual has functional reproductive organs and has attained final physical growth, that is, will not grow any further their height and old age, whereas the weight will shuffle, they will gain more weight as they age. Puberty or pubescence begins with the appearance of secondary sex characteristics. In girls, you can perceive this as development of breast, beginning of the menstrual period. In boys, however, you will find that development of genitals, appearance of facial hair. In both the sexes, hair begins to grow in the underarms. So these are some of the features of puberty. Adolescence follows puberty and ends with the completion of physical growth at maturity. Thus, an adolescent, a girl, is capable of bearing a child. If the growth of a teenager is not as good as it should be, it is affect his or her future health as an adult. If an adolescent is not eating well, is not growing well, it will reflect in his adult life. Moving on to the physical growth and puberty. Growth proceeds very fast in terms of both weight and height. The growth spurt precedes menarche in girls and spermatogenesis in boys. After this growth spurt, growth continues but at a diminished rate. So in adolescence period, growth spurt is the period where maximum growth is seen. Velocity of physical growth in adolescence is second only to the growth rate during infancy. Puberty begins about 2 to 2.5 years earlier in girls than in boys. Thus, at the same age, you will see that girls are taller than boys and will have more muscle mass. During this period, boys develop more muscle and their skeleton enlarges. At the end of adolescence, girls will have more fat and less muscle mass than boys. In this age group, height may increase by as much as 18 to 39 centimeters in girls, and in boys it can increase by 21 to 45 centimeters. Peak velocity is observed around 14 years in boys, and girls will show peak increase at 12 to 13 years. Next we talk about nutrient requirement and allowances. Adolescence can be divided into two age groups, 13 to 15 years and 16 to 18 years. Not only one should include cereals and protein containing foods like dals or pulses, milk, meat, fish, egg, but also leafy vegetables and other fruits and vegetables which are very important. Include these foods because they provide calcium, which is important for the development of bones, and iron for blood formation in addition to vitamin A and C. During the adolescent growth spurt, for a period of 18 to 24 months, when the growth rate is maximum, the nutritional requirement of the teenager may be twice as much during the rest of the adolescent period. Energy requirement will depend upon the activity level of the teenager. During this period, the need for calcium is for increased skeletal mass, iron requirement is for the expansion of blood volume, and zinc is needed for the development of sexual organs and generation of new skeletal and muscular tissue. Calcium is required for skeletal development. Girls need more iron than boys because of iron losses during menstruation. Like all other nutrients, vitamin intake is also essential for growth. The best way to determine if the teenager is receiving sufficient nutrition is to see whether he or she is growing well and whether he or she is eating a well-balanced diet and whether he feels healthy and has stamina to work in the school and to play. If a teenager is constantly falling ill or feels tired continuously, it is a cause of worry. Make sure that the teenager has a good breakfast before he or she goes to school. Give them a nourishing packed lunch. Good, attractive and tasty dishes made at home are more useful for a teenager's body. Often teenagers may feel like eating in the canteen or in the college with friends in a hotel. We should impress upon them for making correct food choices. So often you must have seen, we all must have crossed through the teenage years and adolescence when we feel like eating with our friends. So even if they are eating with their friends outside, they can make healthy food choices. So inform them about the healthy food choices, and as parents we can give them nourishing lunch to carry to their school, and we can also prepare some healthy snacks at home like making a Nutri burger for them or making a pizza with the toppings having more of vegetables and less of refined like cheese, or we can make a pizza with a whole wheat base or some other cereal base which is a millet base, which can be more healthier for the teenager. Next we talk about balanced diet for adolescents. So in this table I have given the food groups which should be had by the teenagers in different age groups. I have also included in this table the 10 to 12 year age group. So adolescence ideally starts with 12 years. So you can see the first column as well, and then I have given the cereal and the food group distribution for the 13 to 15 year age group, and thereafter for 16 to 18 year age group. So there is variation in the amount of the cereal, the pulse, milk and milk products, roots and tubers, green leafy vegetable, other vegetable, fruits, sugar and the fat content for the various age groups, and you will see that there is an increasing trend that as the adolescents are growing in their age, their nutrient requirement is increasing, and there is a difference in the requirement of the boys and the girls. The girls have comparatively lesser requirement of the different food groups as compared to boys, because boys have a longer growth spurt and they tend to grow up to 18-19 years of age even. So their requirements in the 16 to 18 years of age group is quite high. So we must stick to these requirements of a balanced diet for adolescents. Next we talk about the factors which influence adolescent food habits. So there are various factors which influence the eating habits of adolescents. There is peer pressure, there is involvement of food advertisements which they see on the television or the social media, which influences them to quite a large extent. So physical and psychological pressures also influence the adolescent eating habits. Food intake of adolescents tends to vary more than those of younger children. Many of them may skip meals. This you will see more among girls who are figure conscious. Family can still strongly influence the food habits of adolescents. So eating together is one of the crucial factors when the adolescents eat with the family on the dining table. We can instill some good eating habits in them. Adolescents want to be a part of the group, to be liked by their peers. Eating becomes an important form of recreation and socialization, just as it does for you and other adults. So eating gives us acceptance of the group. When they are with their friends, they want to have a lunch which is liked by their friends. If they ask their mothers or the person who is preparing meal at home to prepare and give something which their friends like. So these are the factors which affect the food habits of adolescents. Media like television, radio, magazines, newspaper, etc. expose the adolescent to a wide variety of views. Chocolates, snacks, soft drinks, etc. all become popular because the advertisements take advantage of the teenagers' need for self-esteem and their desire to be attractive and popular. And moreover, there are various celebrities who endorse these advertisements, and the teenagers like to follow their favorite celebrity in eating or having their favorite snack. Often a teenager misses breakfast and or lunch and chooses foods which may provide a lot more calories than do other nutrients. Girls may reduce their food intake because they want to look slim. Often their diets may not provide enough calcium, iron, vitamin C and vitamin A. Therefore, the more focus should be on the diet of the girls. Moving on to the dietary guidelines for adolescents. Adequate, well-balanced diet should be taken to prevent obesity and undernutrition. No meal of the day should be missed. The 3 major meals and also the minor meals should be taken into account. Especially missing breakfast is majorly seen in adolescents. They don't have breakfast when they go to school. So enforcing the habit of having breakfast is very important. Breakfast, lunch and dinner are the 3 major meals. Besides these, a mid-morning snack if possible at the school, and an evening snack or milk, and then post dinner if they can have something. Iron-rich food should be eaten to prevent anemia. Fruits and vegetables rich in iron and vitamin C should be reinforced. Calorie and protein-rich foods should be taken to support the growth spurt. Eating habits should be independent of emotions. So, often the adolescents in their puberty are quite emotional about their looks, about having a fight with somebody in the friend circle, or they are upset with their parents and it reflects on their eating habits. They would not have a particular meal maybe. So, these should not be there. They should be independent of emotions, and parents should encourage them to have their meals even if they are upset with something. Including fruits and vegetables to meet the vitamin, mineral and the fiber requirement. Physical activity should be encouraged, which regulates appetite. Next, we talk about the problems of adolescence that might affect the nutritional status of the adolescent boy or girl. The first problem that we'll talk about is obesity. An unbalanced diet which consists of foods which give mainly calories can lead to obesity. And these days we come across many adolescent boys and girls who are quite obese. This is due to faulty eating habits as well as lack of physical activity in their daily routine. If a teenager is overweight, he or she may be made fun of by his or her friends. It can affect the psychological and the social maturation of the adolescent. Obesity will alter the metabolic function and lead to elevation of blood pressure and of blood lipid levels, glucose, etc. And it can lead to a greater risk of having heart disease when the adolescent will become an adult. Some adolescents, especially girls, resort to crash dieting or semi-starvation in order to lose weight. Such diets will lead to inadequate intake of essential nutrients like vitamins and minerals. Many teenage girls may be anemic because on the one hand they need more iron and on the other they are not taking foods which are rich in iron. The other factor which can affect the nutritional status of adolescents is their involvement in sports. Those who participate in sports and athletics must meet their energy needs. Most of them will eat enough to fill their stomach. You must impress upon the teenager the need for eating foods from all the food groups. Here I am showing a food pyramid which includes foods from different food groups. Poor eating habits can affect one's health for a lifetime. Water intake should not be reduced. If the teenager drinks too little water, it will put stress on the cardiovascular system and can lead to kidney problems in the future. Therefore, the adolescent should have enough water in his or her diet throughout the day. The next problem which the adolescent face is acne. Adolescents of both sexes dread pimples and the problem of a poor complexion. Very often teenagers may stop eating fried foods or sweet foods because they think it causes acne. The real cause is that the sebaceous glands which produce oil and lubricates the skin are under hormonal control. In puberty, the hormone production increases greatly, leading to acne. There is no rationale for recommending a specific diet or restricting certain foods to prevent or cure acne. The best advice is to have a balanced diet and to combine it with good skin care. Moving on to the next problem which is seen in adolescence is alcohol abuse. Teenagers may take alcohol for fun in the company of friends. What they must take care is that it should not become an addiction. Alcohol is not a food. Moreover, it affects the appetite and nutritional status of the addict. The next problem is diabetes in adolescence, which is also known as type 1 or juvenile diabetes. It is quite rare in adolescence. However, some adolescents may have juvenile diabetes. If a teenager is diabetic, you have to take great care that while you provide them enough nutrients for growth, it is important to keep the blood sugar levels under control. A diabetic adolescent must be given insulin, and it is important that you provide them with a normal and nutritionally adequate diet. There are 5 important principles of planning a diabetic adolescent diet. Meals and snacks should be eaten at regular intervals to keep the blood sugar in check. Foods high in sugar should not be eaten in large quantities. Limit the amount of cholesterol-rich foods and saturated fats. Avoid fasting as well as feasting. So, an adolescent, if he or she is juvenile diabetic, should not keep himself without food for longer durations, because it will lead to either hypoglycemia, decrease in blood sugar level, or it can even cause hyperglycemia in some cases, and both these conditions can be fatal for juvenile diabetics. Strictly follow the doctor's prescription for insulin dosage and timings to control the blood sugar levels. Juvenile diabetics will be on insulin, so the dosage and its timing should be regulated and monitored very carefully. The next problem that affects the nutritional status of adolescents is teenage pregnancies. Very often, especially among those families who are financially not so well, get the girls married in their teenage years. This can result in many adolescent girls becoming pregnant. We must ensure that a pregnant teenager has enough food for her own and her baby's growth. Let us sum up today's lecture. We've learnt about adolescence, that it is a period of rapid growth at the end of which the individual reaches physiological maturity and is also sexually mature. Differences in body composition, weight and height between sexes and between individuals of the same sex will become apparent. The nutrient needs in this period are in accordance with the needs for growth and maintenance. Psychological and emotional factors affect the food intake in this age group. Peer pressure and lack of awareness regarding the nutritional needs can lead to consumption of nutritionally inadequate diet. Problems related to teenage obesity, sports activity, early marriage and diseases like diabetes can also affect the growth and nutritional status of the adolescent. That's all from me for today. Hope you liked today's lecture. Thank you.